Maganda.
Sa pagkakataong ito, bigyan pansin naman po natin ang hakbang ng pamahalaan upang matulungan ang ating mga kababayang nasalanta ng ang mga bahay dahil sa nagdaang kalamidad. Makakasama po natin si National Housing Authority General Manager Marcelino Escalada Jr. Magandang araw po, GM Escalada.
Good morning, Mr. Classic. Good morning, Secretary Martin.
Opo, GM, bigyan daan muna natin yung tanong ni Evelyn Quiroz po ng Filipino Mirror. Last week daw po, the government launched the Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa o BP2 program which aims to decongest Metro Manila and enhance regional development. Could you tell us more about this program and will this be a long-standing program fully supported by the government?
Tama yun, Mr. Classic. Executive Order 114 is very clear in its direction na this has the components of a short-term, a medium-term, at saka long-term. So we have already started our dispatch even before the height of the COVID. But then again, sabi natin, we need to also rationalize our movement kasi baka this may be a very crucial means of transmitting the COVID-19. So we suspended only the dispatch, only the deployment. But tuloy-tuloy ang ating evaluation, tuloy-tuloy ang ating assessment. At saka right now, Yusikraki, umabot na ng almost 120,000 that have signified na talagang sasama na sila, babalik na sila sa kanya-kanyang probinsya. And top of the line, again, yung Leyte, Camsur, Sambu Norte, we also have Lanao del Norte, as well as Isabela, and the rest of the Visayas region. So ngayon, we have encouraged all our LGUs, Yusikraki, to participate. And based on the readiness criteria na ginawa natin, we have identified yung top 5 natin na mga LGUs that are ready ngayon, ready to accept our kababayan na nandito na sa Metro Manila for the longest time. Residents of Metro Manila na talagang gusto lang bumalik sa probinsya. And last week, together with Senator Bongo, pumunta kami sa Kauswagan. Because Kauswagan, Yusikraki, has been identified to be the center of our Lanao del Norte Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa community housing. Together with the livelihood as well as agricultural productivity na gi-prepare natin. We are preparing Kauswagan that eventually by next year, when all of these worries natin on COVID will go down, at saka pagkatapos may kumpiyansa na ang mga tao natin, then they can finally decide to readily avail our Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa dispatch system. So sa Kauswagan, Yusikraki, we have already made available the first 100 housing units ongoing right now. Now hopefully, by mid of 2021, tapos na to, at saka makadecide na rin ng mga tao na babalik na sila with a very good livelihood support.
Opo. GM, nabanggit niyo po na may 5 LGUs na nag-open na para dito sa programang ito. Ano-ano pong LGUs ito? Pwede po ba natin banggitin na GM?
We are very happy, Yusikraki, to report to you and to the people of this country na number 1, si Leyte. So the province of Leyte is the most responsive right now. Second is ang Camarines Sur. We also have Lanao del Norte. We have Sambu del Norte, Isabela, and the newest in our list that have signified their intention na magiging participant sila sa ating pilot rollout will be the Davao del Norte of Governor Edwin Hubahib.
So yung pilot po yan, kailan po natin gagawin yan, GM?
Ongoing ang ating coordination ngayon, Yusikraki. In fact, I'm also pleased to report to everyone, especially to the member agencies of the Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa Council, na itong 5 provinces na to have already submitted the LGU profile at saka they already submitted the key result areas na anong gusto nila mangyari sa probinsya nila in 4 major key result areas, such as the empowerment of local industries, the food security and agricultural productivity, social welfare, health and employment, and finally the development of infrastructure. So sabi natin, Yusikraki, we will not impose Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa will not impose developments on these provinces, but sila mismo ang mag-identify kung anong gusto nila mangyari sa probinsya nila. Provided that once in place na lahat, they should be ready to accept their own constituents in time.
Opo, GM, nagkaroon na po ba kayo ng assessment kung ilang mga kababayan natin yung naapektuhan ng bagyo at pagbaha, yung kanilang mga bahay, at ano po yung agarang naipaabot na tulong ng NHA sa kanila?
Medyo malaki yung si Cracky, Senator Bongo, and the rest of the team went to sa Catanduanes during the time of Rolly. And even before we took off from Catanduanes, Ulysses was already 340 kilometers of Birac. So Senator Bongo and myself, together with Secretary Bello, Secretary Dar, Secretary Rolly Bautista, went on board to the plane on signal number 2. So that is how our senator is very purposive in his action to help our people, our kababayan. So right now, you see Cracky, for the rest of the Rolly, Quinta, and Ulysses, ang na-enroll natin sa ating situational report coming from NDRMC, around 150,000 families, both partially and totally damaged. So hindi pa natin na-account yung sa Marikina natin kasi this was the most recent. But ito yung commitment natin. Yung ating financial assistance for both, yung sa Marikina na naapektuhan, yung sa Ulysses natin in Metro Manila, sa Catanduanes and Isabela, the NHA together with DSWD, we have divided our forces, you see, Cracky.
Opo.
Kasi given the resources available, we said that Region 5 will be handled by DSWD and Regions 4A and 4B will be handled by NHA. So initially, nagbibigay tayo si Cracky ng 5,000 for partially damaged and 10,000 for totally damaged. Just an initial funding support para lang maka-overcome, para lang mapaayos yung mga sariling bahay nila to be able to give them the needed roof before a permanent housing will be provided to them next year. So ngayon, yung si Cracky, I have already written a letter request to NDRRMC indicating among others our budget proposal na gagawin na natin yung resilient housing programs intended for the Bicol region as well as in Region 2 na talagang it can withstand a 250, 270 magnitude of wind and at the same time ng earthquake na medyo mataas yung intensity niya. So hopefully, you see, Cracky, we have already implemented and designed a very good housing resilient proposal to be implemented next year.
Opo. JM, pasensya na, no? May balik lang po ako dito sa Balika Probinsya. May pahabol ko po kasi nga tanong si Laila Salaveria ng Daily Inquirer. Pa-clarify naman daw po kung kailan talaga magsisimula ulit yung pagpapauwi ng mga tao sa probinsya.
Tama yun si Cracky. I'd like to clarify that. I will be dependent upon the go signal of our interagency task force on COVID. Gusto ko, I was negotiating with Senator Bongo as well as our Executive Secretary Chair, Salvador Bingbong Mijaldea, na umpisa na natin kasi it's December, baka pwede natin luwagan at saka pagkatapos, we will schedule the rollouts already. Medyo may apprehension pa ang level ng committee up until there is no clear go signal from the interagency task force na talagang yung mga LGUs natin are ready to accept kasi medyo mahirapan tayo si Cracky. For example, I have already scheduled around 10 trips to Leyte, 10 trips to Camsur, 10 trips to Lanao del Norte. So that would mean something like 2,000 persons traveling. So if and when our provinces are not yet ready for the isolation, for the treatment, and all others, medyo mahirapan tayo. So up until there is no certainty yet in terms of the vaccine, and at the same time, the readiness of some LGUs, suspended muna natin until further notice. But our facility, Yusik Raki, in Quezon City, we have the terminal, we have already the isolation facility, we have an overnight stay accommodation for everyone. Nandito ngayon sa Quezon City, it is located in a 6.9 hectare property of NHA. Ginawa namin to parang comfortable yung mga tao natin during the dispatch system. And finally, Yusik Raki, Senator Bongo also approved together with Secretary Wendell Avisado the 1 billion fund for Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa. That before we will dispatch our passengers bound to their respective provinces, they will undertake a swab test. So we will have a swab test on site, then wait for another 12 hours. The day after, the first hour in the day after, then when the result is negative, on board sila to the provinces. Pag positive naman, we will assign them to a facility where available according to our interagency task force. So ito yung mga bagong innovations natin, bagong ginawa natin to make sure that our Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa will not be a transmission vehicle or transmission, tawag natin dito, carrier to where they will be going soon. So we are making sure everything is taken care of, Yusik Raki, at the dispatch center pa lamang.
Opo. Dahil hindi naman daw po GM nawawala agad yung paghagupit ng bagyo at malawakang pagbaha sa ating bansa. So ano po yung nakikita nyong gagawing sistema ng National Housing Authority pagdating po dun sa paggawa, pagpapatayo ng mga nasalantang bahay sa bansa?
Tama, Yusik Raki. That's a very good question you've raised. You know, before the Duterte administration came, marami ng disasters na dumaan sa bansa natin. So I said to our team, we will take the lessons of Yolanda in 2013, the lessons of Pablo, the lessons of Sindong in Iligan, Cagayan de Oro corridor, the lessons of Zamboanga. So all of this, Yusik Raki, nasa literature na namin. So we will take off from the lessons we've learned in all of these disasters. So number one na lesson namin is there's a need for us to redesign our housing. Kasi yung housing natin is something that is very ordinary, something that is very normal na design. So if you are located in the provinces of Bicol, Catanduanes, Camsur, Camnorte, Marinduque, Masbate, where typhoons are regularly visiting all these areas, inulit na namin yung design. So meron na kaming mga eaves na gagawin, meron na kaming mga parapet na gagawin. In fact, hindi na exposed yung ating roofing system. It will be covered by a concrete, naka-connect siya sa ating wall na concrete din. So hindi siya exposed ang ating roofing system. Plus, of course, there will be anchors. So yung mga 2 days, 3 days na advisory before a typhoon will arrive, ang gagawin ng ating mga tao is ikakabit na lang yung mga anchors kaagad eh. So naka-turnbuckle siya from the roofing system to the anchor. And therefore, at any given time, when the typhoon hits the land, so hindi madadala ng ating typhoon yung mga bahay natin. That's on the design. The other is on the project implementation. Kasi in the case of Yolanda, Yusik Raki, it happened in 2013. Until now, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung ating construction ng housing sa Yolanda Yolanda corridor. So all the way from Giwan, all the way that it exited in Palawan. So that's more or less 205,000. In the case dito sa Roli, that's 150,000 more or less. We said na dapat tingnan natin yung capacity ng mga LGUs. If the LGUs, Yusik Raki, have an approved local shelter plan, have a functional local housing board, and an approved comprehensive land use plan, then we will tap our LGUs because in that manner, ready sila to implement sabay with the National Housing Authority. So in that way, we're able to reduce the time of project implementation. Case in point, Yusik Raki, is what happened in in Magsaysay, in Tulunan, in Kidapawan. It happened, the earthquake, exactly last year. That was November 30. And right now, as we speak, well, I'm already 80 or 85% complete in less
Okay.
than 1 year because of a very close collaboration and participation of the local government units.
Opo.
And the permittings of all of this will be handled by the LGUs. These are the lessons of Yolanda, Sendong, and Pablo.
Opo. GM, masasabi ba natin na sa kabila po ng mga bagyo, yung sama ng panahon, pandemic, natutugunan ng pamahalaan yung sinasabi nating housing backlog ng bansa?
Two things, Sisi Krake. Yeah. In terms of the informal sector families, NHA is actively pursuing our participation, our role in the ISF. The total backlog actually right now is something like 6.5 million. One-third of that goes to NHA, around 1.5 million. But the bigger and larger number goes to the private sector through Pag-ibig financing and other bank institutions. So, si Secretary Ed De Rosario naman is trying to consolidate all the forces available and financing available. Kasi si NHA, our market is the informal sector families, yung mga vulnerable families natin living in the coastal road, in the riversides, in the road right-of-way, and even in the calamity-stricken sites. But the bigger portion, something like 4 million, goes to the private sector. That is why we're encouraging our private sector together with the Pag-ibig Fund to also fully support the requirements of the backlog. In that way, dalawa tayong gagawa. We will have the private investments as well as the public investments, Yossi Kraki.
Okay. GM, kunin ko na lamang po ang inyong mensahe sa ating manonood ngayon.
Yeah, in behalf of our Secretary Ed Rosario, and our authority under my administration, tuloy-tuloy ang ating intervention for temporary shelter assistance. But we are looking forward talaga, Yusik Rake, that one day, we will be able to service all the requirements of ISFs. In that manner, sabi ko kay Senator Bongo, I think it's about time that NHA, together with the key shelter agencies and the Congress, will also enact a law, which I call the National Housing Production Development, in which case funding every year should be an appropriation incumbent upon the housing sector. Kasi whatever good intention we have, Yusek Raki, whatever good plans we have, the real intention is found in the budget. Pag wala talagang pondo, mahihirapan mag-implement ang isang housing sector, kagaya namin. So we are making sure that all of this, once done, in the next 20 years, that was our projection with Senator Bong, that at least man lang, wala nang squatter sa sariling bayan natin, the 1.5 million more or less ang target ng NHA will be able to be addressed by then.
Okay. Maraming salamat po sa inyong panahon, NHA General Manager Marcelino Escalada.